Okay, I think there's still a couple more people to come, but we'll make a start now. And if anyone else pops in, they should be able to catch up, hopefully. Also, just a note, I'm in our training room, but it's also an office, so if you do hear a bit of background noise, I apologise. I'm trying to keep it to a minimum. Okay. So, welcome to the Unified Communications Solutions IP PBX UCM series training. This is the first training of 3 certifications from Grandstream. And this is also the prerequisite course that you need if you're going to be attending the GCP training next month, which we've got scheduled on our training page. So if you want to have a look at that, just shoot over to training.gowifi.co.nz and you can register for it there. That one will be held in our office, and so that's a hands-on one. We'll dive into the features of the PBX and actually do some configurations and setup. So as far as today's session goes, basically just going to go through the slides of this. Hopefully it should take possibly around a couple of hours, and then after that there will be the opportunity to sit the certification exam at the end. The certification exam is just a multiple choice question answer, and you'll have I think it's 30 or 40 minutes to complete, and there's 30 multiple choice questions. You need to get a minimum of 24 out of 30 correct to pass. So at the end of this, I'll send through an email with the activation code to log in and sit that, and you can sort of do that straight after the exam, or I'll leave it open for a couple of hours for you to do it. And I can answer any questions along the way. So you guys, I think, have all found the chat on the right-hand side. There should also be a little a little Q&A button somewhere. I think it's down the bottom towards the right on my screen. So as I'm going through these slides, if you do have any questions, feel free to drop your question in the Q&A there, and I'll aim to answer it at the end of each slide. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so the agenda we're going to cover is why VoIP, an introduction into UC or Unified Communications, Grandstream positioning in the UC market, the UCM overview and specifications, installation and deployment, call management, UC features, API and third-party integration, and then finally we'll do the certification exam. Okay, so why VoIP? So if you're used to using analog, VoIP can seem a bit confusing at first. So in the next coming slides, we'll show you how, with some basic information, to make the transition easier. This guide will provide you with a general understanding of how switching over to VoIP can save you time and money, as well as increasing your productivity. VoIP solutions are also ideal because of the amount of control it allows companies to have over their communication infrastructure. So VoIP is an innovative tool for maintaining a competitive advantage in communications and collaboration. You can enjoy many advanced telephony features without having to pay any additional fees, and the configuration of your network is streamlined and scalable. Your employees will enjoy an increase in productivity and fluidity throughout your network. So this has things like less expenses and operational costs, and also reduced time with redirecting resources, which will also save you time and money. It's also very centralized and manageable and scalable to implement. So using unified communications, you can serve your customers better, be more productive, work from anywhere, secure your business, and connect everyone. Unified communications delivers solutions that run on the network, which enable connectivity and collaboration, and that can provide you with a competitive advantage. So they deliver network and communication solutions that enable connectivity and collaboration to help you differentiate your business. So some of the components of unified communications are voice, data, and video, instant messaging, conferencing, so online audio and video, and also integration like Microsoft Office and CRMs, and also presence, so IP phones, desktop clients, and all the related connectors. UC can be comprised of many components. Here is where we notice the similarity to the Wikipedia definition of UC. But again, it's about unifying or integrating your existing communication systems, tools, and devices with the productivity applications you use every day to deliver a broad set of communications to any device, anywhere. As a result, each user can have the same basic experience, regardless of whether they are in a fixed location or a mobile location. We, as in Grandstream, are a significant player in the UC market. So with over 100 plus direct distributors and thousands of authorized resellers, leading manufacturer in low to mid density VoIP analog gateways, leading open source IP PBX manufacturer in the SMB market, and Grandstream is also the top 2 SIP VoIP video phone manufacturer and the top 3 in IP phones. They also have a comprehensive portfolio covering UC and adjacent markets, so things like desktop phones, video phones, cordless DECT phones, and also soft phone applications, video and audio conferencing systems, and cloud web conferencing services, like the one that we're using at the moment, IP Video Talk. Open source asterisk-based IP PBX for the SMB market, and voice and video optimized smart secure networking products, and also SIP security cameras and access control systems. And lastly, Grandstream also do 1 to 48 port VoIP analog gateways. So what are the UCM series? They are enterprise-grade features in an affordable, compact, quiet, and easy-to-manage PBX designed specifically for the SMB and enterprise markets. No licensing fees, fast and easy setup and management, and all hardware and software included, as well as lifetime firmware updates. Feel free to drop any questions in if you got any. It doesn't look like anyone has at the moment, but hopefully you guys have seen that and know where it is. Otherwise, I'll continue on. Okay, so UCM components. Under the voice, secure, high quality and reliable, conferencing functionalities, full codec support, and also voice feature customization. Under the data side, it's got components like call recording, CDR for your call logs. So CDR is call detail records. Codec transcoding, system backup, voice or fax to email, LDAP phone book. Under mobility, there's soft phone applications. So these are available for Android, iOS, and also a web app as well, which is available from any web browser. Remote monitoring, so this might be remote monitoring extensions. If you've got remote offices, for example, and multi-office connections. And then under the video, we've got SIP video calling, surveillance integration, and video codec support as well. So the UCM specifications, there are 3 different series. There's the UCM6xxX, so this is the high-end version with a 1 gig quad-core CPU, 1 gig of DDR3 RAM, 32 gig flash, and an integrated E1T1 J1 port. It has 2 FXO ports and 2 FXS ports, and also has dual gigabit Ethernet ports with integrated PoE. All of the Grandstream PBX series come with a USB and SD card slot that you can use for backing up recordings or configuration, and also your call detail records. They also have an integrated NAT router, with the exception the 6100 series, which is now a legacy series. Only the 6102 supports the NAT router, but in the new 6200 series and the 6510, they've all got the integrated NAT router. And they all have LED indicators and graphical LCD displays. And for rack mountable, the 6510 and 6208 are rack mountable, and then in the legacy series, the 6108 and 6116 are also rack mountable. So in comparison, the 6200 series, which is the most popular, they have 3 different models. They've got a 6202, a 6204, and a 6208. Now the 2, 4, and 8 is the number of FXO ports that the PBX has. So FXO, Foreign Exchange Office, is the port that receives the analog line on the telephone or fax machine. It enables the connection to the analog line, or FXS. FXS devices connected to the phone system are referred to as endpoints, like your phone, for example. So that means that with the models that have got the FXO ports, if you're looking at say a 6208, that can support up to 8 foreign exchange office lines. So if you've got 8 analog trunks, essentially, coming into the building. Then in the 6100 series, the numbering is very much the same, with the exception that they also had a 6116, which had 16 FXO ports. Okay, so carrying on, the 6510 can support up to 2,000 users. The 6208, 800, and the 6100 series up to 500. For concurrent calls, up to 200 on the 6510, 100 on the 6200 series, and up to 60 on the 6100 series. The 6510 is the only one with a T1E1 interface, and all models in the 6200 series and 6510 support integrated NAT router, and then the 6102 and the 6100 series supports NAT router as well. So you can configure up to 50 SIP trunks on each model. Conference bridges, you can support up to 8 bridges and 64 simultaneous attendees on the 6510. And depending on which model you go for in the 6100 or 200 series, you can see the 6202 and 04 support up to 3 conference bridges and 25 attendees, and the 6208, 108 and 16, 6 bridges and 32 participants. And the 6208 also supports simultaneous PSTN or IP participants as well. The 6510 also has a redundant PSU. It's the only model with this support. And most of the models also support lifeline capability as well. So the UCM 6200 series FXS interfaces are metallic through to the FXO interfaces. If there is a power outage, the FXS1 port will fail over to the FXO1 port, and FXS2 port will fail over to the FXO2 port. This means that the user can still access the PSTN connected with the FXO interfaces from the FXS interfaces. So essentially, if the power goes out, you should still be able to make a call over your analog line if you've got one connected from FXS1 through FXO1. So we've got a question there. What is Lifeline? Hopefully I've just explained that. Just drop this in here for you. Okay. UCM Applications. So GS Wave is an Android and iOS mobile soft phone application. Grandstream Wave is a free soft phone that revolutionizes the user's workflow. It integrates with up to 6 SIP accounts and supports essential call control features such as 6-way voice conferencing, 24 virtual BLF keys, 2-way video calls, and much more. The Grandstream Wave is also capable of integrating with your IP PBX, such as the Grandstream's UCM 6200 series or 6510 series, for even more powerful network utilization. So it supports G711, 722, 726, 729, GSM, and ILBC, Opus, and Speaks codecs. Security features include SIP over TLS and 256-bit SRTP, with up to 6-way audio conference and 24 virtual BLF keys, 6 SIP accounts. It's also got native integration with mobile devices, including contact, call history, and ringtones, and enterprise features including IP PBX integration, BLF, call transfer pickup, call recording with UCM and LDAP, automatic call forwarding based on the time and location rules, and full integration with Grandstream's UCM series of IP PBXs, including the creation of QR code for automatic provisioning. So that allows you from the PBX to email the extension, provided you've got an email address on the extension, and it'll email them a QR code to scan, or they can save it to their photos on their phone and then scan it or import the photo from there, and it'll automatically set up their and provision their GS Wave app on their phone. Voice channel switching between Bluetooth, earphone, speakerphone, and 3.5mm headset, and support for 2-way video calls based on SIP and H.264 video codec. Okay, I've got another question there. How many video lines, do many businesses still use analog lines with a VoIP controller? I haven't had too many customers that I've dealt with that are using analog for failover and then SIP trunks for their primary. If that's what you're asking, Stephen. It's not common, although I guess by request there might be some cases. I think I have had one or two customers that chose to keep their analog lines just as a backup for that case. How does this app go on battery usage? As previous apps I've tried seem to always drains the battery heavily. That's a good question, David. I haven't actually used it for extended periods of time, so I couldn't actually tell you the answer off the top of my head. But I can definitely see if I can find that out for you, or maybe do a bit of testing. Okay. GS Affinity phone companion. So this is a CTI application, computer telephony integration application, and it's a Windows-based desktop application supported by the UCM 6000 series, so the UCM 60, 100, 200, and 500 series, and also supported on the GXP 1700 series and 2100 series IP phones. Simple GUI design for easy navigation, good clear font, 2 views, non-resizable, reduced and expanded, supports desktop notification by default, cool pop-up screen, allows management of contacts, call log, CRM lookup, and information about connected phone, and also syslog for diagnosis. I haven't personally used this too much myself. I've installed it and had a real quick play early on. I'm running a Mac, which it's quite nasty to run it in Wine, so I'm actually using the WebRTC version of GS Wave instead. But feel free to try it out and have a play with it. You can download GS Affinity from Grandstream's download forum page. Download firmware page, or might be on the tools page actually. Okay, so I've just got a couple of questions here. So it's just an assistant, or is it a desktop soft phone? It's. I think it's more of an assistant. It can do. It registers through. I don't think it registers directly as a soft phone. It rather connects to your physical IP phone, or at least that was the way that it did it when I tested it. It wasn't actually a standalone soft phone application. May have changed, but I don't think it has. So hopefully that answers your question, Steve. How in-depth is the call log, and will it log to a file? Oh, that is a good question. I am not too sure on that. What I'll do regarding that question is I can definitely find that out and send that through to you at the end of the certification. So I'll have a wee look at any of these that I haven't got the answer to right now. Can I set up a demo of this for the next training? Yes, I can. I can do a dedicated webinar on that. If there's a bit of interest in that, that's definitely fine, Kevin. Okay, so with the call features, so you can dial and make outgoing calls, answer, reject incoming calls, hold and unhold, call transfer, conference call, mute, unmute, set your D&D, call forward, and call history and CRM lookup. As mentioned before, I'm pretty sure it is still connecting directly to the phone and just pulling all the information from the phone and pushing to the phone as well, as opposed to a dedicated soft phone application where you would register inside the app itself. Okay, so build an integrated communications network. So now we get on to the installation and deployment. This screen just shows you a little snippet of what the user interface of the UCM 6200 series looks like. The one on the left is the administration login, and the one on the right is the user or extension login view. Okay, so physical interfaces and LCD menu. You can view events, critical events and other system events, device info, hardware version, software, part number, MAC address and uptime, network info, so the IP address of the unit and the subnet mask, and also the network menu for some of the network settings. And you can also factory reset or reboot the UCM via the LCD and the physical buttons as well. And you can also view the web info like the HTTP or HTTPS port. So this is just with the little display screen on the top or the front of the unit, and then there's some buttons there to scroll through and control those basic settings. Can be quite useful if you're trying to find out the IP address when it's connected to a DHCP network, or maybe locating the MAC address or performing a factory reset. Okay, a question for all the apps, etc. Do you have to have Grandstream branding on it, or can I just put a generic phone logo on it? So I know with the phones, you can have like a boot up screen where you can change the image, so you could brand it with say for example we could brand ours with the Go Wireless NZ logo or something similar. You can actually put that on there as it's booting up instead of the Grandstream one. As far as the soft phone applications and GS Affinity, I don't believe you can do that with those. If anyone else has got any other questions around that, or may know the answer to that, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen anywhere that you can make that a custom application that has no Grandstream branding on it. Grandstream is actually planning to release some new ITSP phones at some stage, which will allow you to change the physical logo that is on the actual phone itself. So it'll be great for ITSPs that want to essentially put their own logo on the physical phone and not have any Grandstream branding on it at all. Can the physical interface and LCD menu be locked? I don't believe it can. I haven't seen anywhere where you can lock it. I will check that for you, Stephen, though, and let you know. Okay, so installation and deployment. The UCM has a built-in web server, obviously, to be able to access it. The default secure HTTPS access and port number is 8089. So when you browse to the phone's IP address, you'll automatically be directed to an HTTPS URL like the one there, with port 8089 at the end. You can change this port if you need to. And the default LAN IP is 192.168.2.1. So that's if you've got a unit from default factory mode that's got the NAT router built in, which is most of the models. The LAN IP will be 192.168.2.1, and the WAN IP will be assigned by DHCP by default. There's a unique and random password generated during manufacturing and printed on the unit's label. So this is now with all UCMs, also with Grandstream's access points as well. They now have a randomly generated password on the barcode on the underside of the unit, and that is the default password to log into the device. Okay, so there's a simple setup wizard that you can start with when logging into the UCM for the first time. This is used to provide the user or help the user get set up with some basic configurations in a step-by-step process. You can do things like change the default admin password, configure the network settings, time zone, create some extensions, configure your trunks and your routes, and then preview a summary of it before you submit and deploy the config. Okay, deploying using zero config. So setup is made easy. It's plug and play, auto discovery, automatic assignment, and minimal manual operation. So this is how zero configuration works on the UCM. There are three methods for interaction between SIP and end device. There is a SIP subscribe, MDNS, or option 66. So basically the phone will boot up and it will be discovered by the UCM. And then the UCM will check if there's a config file available. If there is a config file available, it will send the configuration URL to the device, and the device will download the config file, reboot, and get provisioned. If there is no configuration file on the UCM, i.e. one has not been created yet, then that is where you'll create an XML configuration file and then send it to the device. Send the download URL to the device once it's been created, and then it'll download the config file, reboot, and get provisioned. Okay, so with zero config, you can do an automatic configuration and extension assignment. So this is where if you don't really care who's going to get what extension and you've got a large number to do, you can enable that checkbox, and basically it'll just auto deploy an extension to all the phones connected to the network based on your zero configuration settings. You can also specify a segment of extensions that will be provisioned, and you can also use the pick extension feature. So the pick extension is basically when the device starts its provisioning, it'll get a list sent to the device, and then the user can actually select the extension through the phone LCD screen that they want to use. Flexible network segments whitelist. So this is the allowed subnets that are allowed to access to zero config. Discovery methods for zero configuration are ping, ARP, and SIP notify. And with zero configuration, there are 4 different configurations or templates. You've got your global template, which is one that you can create for all of your phones or specific types of phones. Then you've got a global policy, and then a model configuration, and then a device configuration. So the global configuration will apply to all the connected Grandstream SIP endpoint devices on the same LAN with the UCM, no matter what the Grandstream device model is. It's divided into 2 levels. So one is the global policy, and the other one is the global templates. Global templates configuration has a higher priority to global policy configuration, and both will take effect. Got a question here. Why do we need to add the IP of the phone to auto discover? So you shouldn't need to add the IP address of the phone to auto discover. If it's on the same layer 2 network, then it should automatically discover. It may not do it the moment you plug the phone in. You may have to run a discover if your UCM is already powered on and you've just plugged in the phone. But definitely it should auto discover it and show up without you having to manually run the scan. That's provided it's on the same layer 2 network. If it's on a layer 3 network, or across a VLAN or something like that, then that's where you would be required to do a manual scan to discover it. Okay, I can definitely have a look at that for you, Kevin, if it's not working for you, because it should definitely scan. I haven't come across any issues where it hasn't really been an issue for scanning, but there might be something going on the network there maybe that's causing it. Okay, so global templates can be accessed under GUI, value-added features, zero config, and then global templates. Users can create multiple global templates with different sets of configurations and save the templates. Later on, when the user configures the device in Edit Device Advanced Settings, the user can select to use one of the global templates for the device. The global policy can be accessed in value-added features, zero config global policy page. On top of the configuration table, users can select category in the options drop-down list to quickly navigate to the category. The categories are localization, so configuring your display language, date and time. The contact list, so if you're going to download an LDAP or XML phone book. Maintenance, so this might be your firmware upgrade, URL, web access, telnet SSH access, and syslog settings. Network settings, so the IP address of the phone, if you're going to fix it to a static address. QoS and stun settings. Customization, this is for the LCD screen wallpaper for supported models. Just on the network settings, I'd imagine it's probably more going to be like your gateway and DNS, not necessarily your IP address of your actual phone, being a global policy. You wouldn't want that to be the same IP address for all of your devices. Okay, then we move on to the model configuration. So model layer configuration allows users to apply model-specific configurations to different devices. So this is where users could create, edit, and delete a model template by accessing value-added features, zero config model templates. If multiple model templates are created and enabled, when the user configures the device in Edit Device dialog, Advanced Settings, to select one of the model templates for each device. So an example of this is we run mostly GXP 2160s in our office, so we've got a model template which provisions them with pretty much all the same settings across the 2160s. However, there is one or two 2140s with an expansion module which have a different configuration, as they've got some different settings on them for the expansion module on the side for the virtual multi-purpose keys. So that has a different template to the rest of the phones. Installation and deployment with the device configuration. So created or discovered devices will be listed with their MAC address, IP address, vendor, model, and some other information. You can edit basic, including multiple accounts and advanced settings of the device. So when you click edit on the device for a start, you'll have the basic mode where you can just essentially tick the account one box and you'll get a drop down with all the available extensions. You can select one of those extensions and go save and provision, and it'll provision that extension to the device. Or if you want to go in and apply a specific model template, that's where you click on the advanced and apply the specific model template and global template if you've got a global template. So after going through the 5-layer configuration for the device, users could send a notify SIP device and trigger it to start the auto provision. So you just click on this wee icon shown here. Looks like a little cloud with a refresh inside it to send a notify to the device to trigger it to download the configuration file from the URL contained in the notify message. And that should be all you need to do. So with zero config, you can also reboot the remote device. So to use this feature under the zero config configuration page, you just click reboot under the options tab. So you should see a list of all your devices there and MAC addresses, and you can just click the wee reboot button. And there you've got your update button and also your edit button, or if you want to trash your configuration file. Okay, so integration with GS Wave QR code scan. This is what I mentioned earlier. So GS Wave is a Grandstream soft phone application for Android devices on Android 4 or higher. It is also available on iPhone as well. And it can be automatically provisioned by the UCM using the QR code scan. So go to the UCM Web UI extension trunk extensions page. And then just click the email button next to one of the extensions, or alternatively you can do a select all and email all. The UCM users that have email addresses configured in their extensions will receive the account registration and LDAP configuration information in the email. On the GS Wave app, you select UCM account, QR code scan to scan and get registered immediately. Okay, so call management. We're going to discuss some features like call transfer, SIP forking, call routing, call park, D&D, call forward, and call hold. So SIP forking allows multiple registrations per extension. So the UCM supports multiple registrations per extension. The user can register from multiple devices to the UCM using a single account. There's a maximum of 10 concurrent registrations per extension. So this little diagram just gives you an example. You could have extension 1000 registered at home, at work, and on your GS Wave app on your phone. So this simplifies the process of having to create multiple extensions for each device and using the Follow Me feature, which will also be discussed a little bit later. Call transfers. So call transfer allows the user to transfer calls to another phone. Our UCM supports 3 types of call transfers. Blind transfer, which involves passing a call without notifying the recipient. Attended transfer, which does a blind transfer and involves passing a call by notifying the recipient. First, it will hold the initial call and then call the recipient while the first call is waiting, and then it will connect the 2 calls. So this one here is commonly used if you're going to ring one of your, like in our office, we'd ring one of our other staff members and say, hey, I've got a call from you from David. He'd like to talk to you about this, and then connect the call. Or a blind transfer will just immediately connect the outside line to that other extension. And then finally, we've got seamless transfer, which allows the user to perform a blind transfer using a UCM feature code without having music on hold presented during the transfer process. Do not disturb whitelist. So do not disturb allows of an extension to ignore any incoming calls. This can be done from both the UCM and the client, depending on the client. In addition to that, our UCM allows users to configure extensions or numbers that will be able to reach the extension, even if the D&D is enabled. The options is the name D&D whitelist. Call forwarding. So call forwarding or call diversion is a telephony feature which redirects a telephone call to another destination, which may be, for example, a mobile voicemail box or another phone number where the desired called party is available. The UCM supports 3 types of call forwards. Call forward when there's no answer, call forward when busy, and unconditional call forward. Call hold is a key feature of the telephony system. When the call is placed on hold, the caller is parked and is enabled to communicate with the person on the other side of the line. Music on hold is generally played to the caller. The person who has placed the caller on hold is able to perform other tasks during the hold time. The UCM users can configure the hold music, on-hold class, and upload music files through the web interface. Files should be in WAV 8 kHz mono format with a maximum size of 30 megabytes. The UCM users can also record the music on hold by initiating a recording call to an extension, answer the call and start the recording. Once you hang up and refresh the page, the new music on hold file will be available in the list. Call park. This is a feature that allows you to place a call on hold so it can be retrieved from another phone in the system. To use call park, if you're on an active call at your phone, you can park the call in 2 ways. This is by pressing #72, which will park the call. And then you can initiate a blind transfer, then dial 700 to park the call. The parking lot number will be announced after parking the call. You can retrieve the call in another room or else on another phone. In your system, you can then dial the call park extension to retrieve the call. If the call is not retrieved after the timeout, it will ring back the phone that parked it. Okay, outbound routes. So with outbound routes, we have dial patterns, secured route, strip and prepending digits, failover, privileges as well, and we can do outbound route per source caller ID, call duration limits, PIN groups, blacklisting, and time conditions, and also DoD. For inbound routes, we have got DID, trunk selection, direct calls to the IVR, extension, ring group, voicemail or fax, scheduled inbound routes, inbound route per caller ID, blacklisting, and also multiple modes as well. Okay, so some other UC features we're going to just go over. The IVR, conferencing, voicemail, follow me, paging, pickup group, call barging, instant messaging, distinctive ringtones, speed dial, dial by name, busy camp on, DISA, callback ring group, call center fax, wake up service, announcement center, and call recordings. Okay, so the first one is the IVR, which is the interactive voice response, and that's a function that greets and guides callers through a telephony system in a friendly and timely manner, allowing them to reach the endpoint, leave messages, or speak to an operator. The UCM6xxx IVR main features are recording or uploading a custom prompt, support multiple languages, scheduled routes to specific IVR prompts, after hours, holidays, and maintenance hours, and nested IVRs up to 5 levels. Incoming calls to the UCM6000 can be pointed to reach IVR used as auto-attended with or without receptionist, and then customers will be able to select the destination to reach by a simple key press. So available options for key pressing events are extension, voicemail, conference rooms, voicemail group, IVR, ring group, queues, paging group, fax, custom prompt, hang up, DISA, dial by name, external number, and callback. So you can pretty much, from the IVR, send your call just about anywhere in the UCM. So you can also whitelist and blacklist calls dialed from the IVR and restrict the caller from reaching certain extensions or external numbers via the IVR. For example, the company CEO and directors prefer only receiving the call transferred by the secretary only. Some extensions are used on IP surveillance endpoints, which shouldn't be reached from external calls via IVR for privacy reasons. There's also blacklisting, so the extensions that in the blacklist are ones that will not be allowed to be reached via the IVR, and then your whitelist would be ones that are the extensions only allowed to be reached via the IVR. External numbers can be configured for blacklist or whitelist only when the dial trunk is enabled for the IVR. Just one moment, I've just got someone asking me a question, so I'm just going to pause the webinar for a moment.
Okay, cool.
So if there are Mel, I've sent you that email. You can just say to them that I'm recording the webinar. So if they have missed out on a bit of the content, that I'll send through the recording way. Cool. Sorry, I'm back, guys. Just had a couple of people saying that they hadn't received the email about the webinar, so just sorting that out. I'm recording it, so hopefully I'll be able to send that through to them and anyone else that needs it. Looks like I've got a question here. Does Grandstream have a broadcast hardware and feature to page across all devices trying to find a person? So they do have a paging intercom feature, which I imagine you'd probably be able to do what you're trying to do there. So you can do a one-way page or a two-way page. We'll go over that a little bit later. So I'll show you that when we get to it. I'll just bring back my screen. There we go. Okay. So conferencing. Conference bridge feature allows to have several people participating in a call. Different conference bridges can be defined on the UCM6xxx series and have the following main features. So they can be public or private. You've got an option to record, bridging of multiple parties, caller menu, user invite, and caller announcements. So just going over the conference features again, the maximum number of bridges you can have is 3 on the 61 and 62, 02 and 04. And then the 6108 and 16 and the 6208, you can have up to 6. And then on the 6510, up to 8 conference bridges. So multiple conference bridges. UCM-A and UCM-B are interconnected via SIP peer trunk. On the UCM-A's web interface, the administrator can directly invite a conference room on the UCM-B to connect to UCM-A's conference room, essentially bridging the two conference rooms together. You can also schedule your conferences. So after you enable Google Calendar setting under Google Service Support, conference scheduling can synchronize with Google Calendar for an authorized Google account. Conference scheduling feature can be found under Call Features, Conference Schedule. Voicemail is a VoIP telephony feature. Basically, it is a voicemail that the caller leaves, a voice message that the caller leaves when the person called is absent or busy on another call. And the called person can later on check for the stored voice message by either dialing the voice number, receiving the voicemail via email, or accessing their own user extension portal. Users can listen and delete messages or even change the voicemail prompts. So 1 hour of voicemail occupies around about 5 megabytes of space. How about Office 365? I haven't seen any information about integration with the Office 365 unless it's been put in the latest beta firmware. I don't think they support it at present. Pickup group. The UCM supports pickup group feature, which allows users to pick up incoming calls for other extensions if they're in the same pickup group by dialing pickup extension feature code, which is *8 by default. So, paging and intercom. Paging and intercom can be used to make an announcement over the speaker on a group of phones. Targeted phones will answer immediately using the speaker. Paging is a one-way communication, so people can hear the message but cannot respond to it. Intercom is a two-way communication, so people can hear the message and also respond back to the person initiating the call. The paging and intercom can be used via feature code to a single extension or also a group. So hopefully that answers the previous person's question about that. Follow me. So Follow Me is a feature that the UCM allows users to direct calls to a single or multiple phone numbers and have them ring all at once or one after the other. Calls can be directed to the user's home, office, or mobile phone anywhere in the world. So the calls will get to the users no matter where they are. So an example of this is there's an incoming call into the UCM and it's destined for extension 2000. So it rings extension 2000, which there is no answer. So after it determines there's the ring timeout period for no answer, the UCM will then start calling extension 2001, which is the Follow Me number. It will then ring extension 2001 until it hits the ring timeout again. And then it'll hit the next Follow Me feature, which might be to call an external number. So then it'll call the external number where the user finally answers the call. Call barge. So this offers the ability to listen in on agent calls, whisper to the agent, and barge in on both calling parties. Integrated with active call status under system status active calls. It can be used with feature codes and different mode support as well. So there's a listen mode, which monitors the monitor's extension can hear both parties in the active call, but the monitor's audio won't be heard by either side of the monitored active call. And this is by dialing *54. So this might be handy in an environment where you've got a trainee that is learning and you just want to listen in on their calls and see what they're saying to the customer and how the customer's responding. You then have a whisper mode, which allows the monitor's extension to, again, hear both parties, but the monitor can actually talk to the monitored extension. So this is where the monitored extension can actually hear the person, the monitor can actually give the trainee advice, if you like, on how to answer the question that the client is asking them. And then there's the barge mode, which allows the monitor's extension to talk to both parties in the active call. So this is essentially the same as a three-way conference call, if you like. SIP presence. So SIP Presence is a feature available to phones with programmable keys such as multi-purpose keys or MPKs that allow them to monitor the service status of assigned extensions. A phone would send a SIP subscribe message to the UCM to check for changes in the status of specified extensions, and the UCM would return the status of those extensions in a SIP notify message back to the phone. So some of these are available. The contact is online and can participate in conversations or phone calls. Away, the contact is currently away, i.e. for their lunch break. Chat, so the contact has limited conversation flexibility and can only be reached via chat. D&D, the contact is in a do not disturb mode. Custom presence status, so this is where you can enter your own custom presence status for this mode in the web GUI. And then there's also unavailable, which the contact is unreachable for the moment and please try to contact later. So SIP instant messaging. SIP end devices that support SMS message can send and receive SMS messages. Distinctive ringtones. So the UCM6xxx series support distinctive ringtones when an inbound call is coming from the call queue, the IVR, inbound route, or extension. Users can configure the alert info field to select different ringtones for the specific incoming call. Alert info field is available for call queue, IVR, inbound routes, extensions. And the alert info can be used with available options like the ring 1, ring 2 tones, or with customized strings as well. So you can enter a string in the alert info field. So a useful one for this is we use it here at work, and basically if we get a internal to internal call, it'll make a distinctive different ringtone to an external call coming in. Speed dial. This allows users to call a certain destination by pressing 1 or 2 digits. Supported destinations are extension, voicemail, conference room, voicemail groups, IVR, ring groups, call queues, paging group, fax, dial by name, or external numbers. So dial by name is a feature on the PBX which allows the caller to search a person by first or last name via the phone's keypad. When the caller reaches the IVR auto attendant, the IVR will guide the caller to spell the name with the digits to find the person in the dial by name directory. The administrator can define the dial by name directly to only include desired extensions to be reached. So this helps block unscreened calls to reach employees who don't want to receive those calls directly. It also offers customers and clients a guided automatic system to get in touch with the enterprise employees without having to know the extension number. UC features. So another feature of unified communications is busy camp on. So busy camp on or call completion is a feature where the PBX will camp on the called party and inform the caller as soon as the called party becomes available, given the previous attempted call cannot be successfully established. The extension might not be available. They might be busy, away, or call rejected when another extension is trying to reach it. This is where call completion or busy camp on can help. So the PBX can camp on the called party. You press *11 to request or *12 to cancel, and inform the caller as soon as the called party becomes available. Supported on individual extension, for example, when extension A calls extension B, call completion can be requested. It's also supported on SIP trunks, for example, when extension on the UCM calls extension B on the UCM, call completion can also be requested. So an example here is extension 1000 tries to make a call to extension 1001, and it receives a busy away or reject, or 1001 essentially rejects the call. And if it hits any of those requirements, then extension 1000 can press *11 to request a busy camp on. And then when extension 1001 becomes available, the UCM will then initiate a call to extension 1000, and once answered, it will call extension 1001 to connect the calls. So how can you determine if it's available? The UCM will initiate callback when the previously unavailable extension becomes available. It uses the following conditions to detect if the extension is available or not. If extension B was busy when being called, extension B is considered as available after the previous active call hangs up. If extension B rejected the call, or the call went to a timeout when being called, extension B is considered as available after a new call is completed. This means extension B has time to initiate a new call, they have to initiate a new call or answer another incoming call before they will be seen as available. And then, so when they hang up the call, then extension B is considered available. DISA stands for Direct Inward System Access, and is a feature by all of the UCM 6000 series that gives the user the ability to call from the outside using his cell phone or landline and dial out via the SIP trunk or PSTN trunk connected to the UCM, as it is an internal extension. So many scenarios where the user needs to access the UCM resources to perform calls, for instance, to other extensions or external calls via trunks, but doesn't have access to his or her extension. In such cases, if DISA is configured on the UCM, he or she can call to the UCM from any PSTN number, mobile or payphone, and act as an internal extension in a secured way using a password. So firstly, dial the UCM from your cell phone, and then once you've reached the DISA from the IVR, or using an inbound route directly, then you enter the DISA password, and then from there you can dial your destination number when the dial tone is played. Callback is mainly designed for users who often use their mobile phones to make long distance or international calls, which may have high service charges. The callback feature provides an economic solution for reducing call costs. In this way, the calls are placed and connected through trunks on the UCM instead of to the mobile phone or landline directly. Therefore, the user will not be charged on phone services for long distance or international calls. So firstly, from your cell phone or a PSTN number, you can dial the UCM and then hang up once you hear the ringback tone. And then a few seconds later, the UCM calls back your cell phone or your PSTN number, and then you pick up the call, and then the call will be immediately directed to DISA or IVR in the UCM, where you can dial your your destination number and make your call essentially initiated from the UCM. Ring groups. So a ring group is a feature that allows you to have multiple phones ring when one extension or number is dialed. It's a great way for businesses to share the distribution of incoming calls among employees. It is often used to efficiently distribute calls to specific departments such as sales, customer support, or accounting. You can have up to 100 members per ring group. Parallel or serial ringing mode, custom prompts, auto record, and default destinations. Call center. So the UCM supports a lightweight call center, including virtual queue, switchboard, and position announcement, allowing the callers to know their position on the call queue and giving them the option to either stay on the line waiting for their turn to activate a callback, which excuse me, will be initiated by the UCM once the agent is free. So you can also view call queue statistics, position announcement, and there's a switchboard for all the agents. This is available when you log into your extension or user portal on the UCM. So the call distribution strategy, the UCM supports automatic call distribution with many different strategies that can be set under basic options of each call queue separately. So you can do a ring all, where all available agents will ring simultaneously until one answers. You can do a linear, where the calls will ring at agents' phones following an order previously configured. This is only for static agents. You can do least recent, where the system selects the agents who have not answered the phone for the longest period. Fewest calls, the system assigns the call to the agent with the lowest number of calls answered so far. Or you can do a random agent or a round robin. Okay, so call queue agents are members defined to answer the call queues. Agents can either be static or dynamic. So on the 6102 and 202, you can have up to 18 agents in the call queue. On the 6104 and 204, you can have up to 27, 36 on the 6108 and 6116. And on the new 6208, you can have up to 60. And then finally on the 6510, you can have up to 120 agents in the call queue. Okay, so this is the web-based call center. So it provides every user essentially a bird view into the phone system. The extensive call control and visibility features, checking the extension statuses in real time, and adjusting the agents in the queue by monitoring, transferring, hang up the call from the web interface. Okay, so agents have full control over the calls with the support of most of all the known features that are needed within the call center system for day-to-day operations. These features include putting calls on hold, call transferring, three-way conference, call park, and there's two methods available. So you can use the standard feature keys or codes on the physical phones, or you can use the user web UI portal using the switchboard. Virtual queue and position announcement. So virtual queue is a system that allows callers to keep their spots in a call queue without having to physically stay on the line and wait for a call pickup if all agents are busy. Once activated, a series of voice prompts will guide the caller through the setup and a callback number and saving his spot in the queue. Once an agent is available, the system will automatically contact the next callback number in the queue. Position announcement allows callers to know where exactly in the queue they currently are at. So there's also the ability to have a chairman or supervisor. So a user is appointed by superadmin to monitor and manage the assigned queue extension via the switchboard. The queue chairman can log into the UCM user portal with his extension number and assigned user password to the switchboard. To access the switchboard, click on Value Added Features in the side menu and then Call Queue. Just note that there's only one chairman that can be defined per call queue, and the chairman extension can also be a call queue agent. So in the switchboard, you can check the extension status in real time, adjust the agents in the queue, and monitor or transfer or hang up the call, all from the web interface. You can have full control on all queues from a single interface, and it's got an intuitive design with easy to see icons. Okay, so the user dashboard is where each agent or user that has an extension can now have its own dashboard and control panel. The chairman agent can have control over the queue without admin access for easy use. So this gives you the ability to assign a chairman, and they can log in excuse me, without having access to the full administration of the PBX. Okay, so queue statistics. You can filter by agent or queue. You can also see the number of received, answered, missed, and abandoned or transferred calls, the unanswered rate or abandoned rate, and the average talk or waiting time as well. Fax service. So the UCM supports T30 or T38 fax and fax pass-through. It can convert the received fax to PDF and send it to the configured email address. The list of received fax files will also be displayed in the same web page for users to view, retrieve, and delete. Sending a fax can be done either using a fax machine connected to one of the FXS ports or by uploading a PDF file through the user portal. Fax or T38 settings can be accessed via the web GUI under Call Features Fax T38. Wake up service. So the UCM has a wake up service as a separate module without other interface generalized solution. There are 3 ways to set the wake up service. You can do it using an admin login, the user portal, or using a feature code. The UCM also has an announcement center, so this allows users to pre-record and store voice prompts in the UCM with a code associated to it. The user also needs to create a group with the extensions assigned. When the code and group number are dialed together, the specified voice will be played to all the extensions in the group after they answer the call. So you can see in the example here, this is where you might have 2 different messages, message ABC and message XYZ, and you could send message ABC to group 6xxx, or you could send it to group 777, and likewise with message XYZ. Call recording. So with call recording, an hour's worth of recording is approximately 55 megabits of usage on the UCM. The recording length can be extended via USB flash drive. Recording files are WAV format and can be played and downloaded from the UCM series interface. Automatic recording can enable for specific extensions, ring groups, call queues, conference rooms, and trunks. Okay, and the final chapter is on API and third-party integrations. So there's a CDR API. The UCM supports third-party billing interface API for external billing software to access the CDR on the PBX. The API uses HTTPS to request the CDR data based on the parameters configured on the third-party application. 3 output formats are supported. There's CSV, XML, and JSON. For security purposes, the CDR API is using HTTPS with a username and password combination, and only requests from permitted IPs will be accepted. There's a call recording API. So the rec API is used to access all call recordings. This is an API similar to the CDR API support on the UCM. This is to request call recordings or a list of recording files within the asterisk spool directories, matching given parameters as set by the third-party application. The UCM also has an AMI interface or asterisk manager interface. The asterisk manager interface allows a client program to connect to an asterisk instance and issue commands or read events over the TCP/IP stream. It's useful when integrators try to track the state of the telephony client inside asterisks or initiate calls. The UCM provides restricted AMI access for administrators. CRM integration. So the UCM supports CRM integration that allows users to connect third-party CRM interfaces with the UCM. The UCM currently supports Salesforce and Sugar CRM. They have actually added a few new ones in here since the time of writing this. So they also support vTiger CRM, Zoho CRM, and also ACT CRM as well. So with Sugar, you can support querying, updating, adding CDR records through Sugar CRM APIs via SOAP or REST, and click to dial from Sugar CRM. Salesforce supports querying, updating, and adding your CDR records. And lastly, the UCM also has PMS integration. So PMS is Property Management System, which is a software application that is used in hospitality industries to automate some hotel functions such as guest booking, guest details, etc. So the system can be divided into 3 parts. The PMS is the Property Management System. The PMSI is the Property Management System Interface, and then there's the PBX. So the Grandstream UCM6xxx series have integrated PMS, providing following hospitality features, including check-in, check-out, set room status, wake-up call, and more. And the UCM supports integration with HMobile and Mitel PMS software applications. And that is the last slide.